In the early 1980s, HIV/AIDS was already knocking on the door of several Ugandans, but when specialists revealed that it was a sexually transmitted disease killing people, no one was willing to come out and say boldly that they had contracted HIV. But as time went on, renowned artist Philip Bongole Lutaya in 1987 came out and publicly announced to the world that he had been infected with the virus. He further went on to create awareness and warned people of the deadly disease through music, concerts, and songs. During the same period of time, other people contracted HIV, especially soldiers in the army who are in the bush fighting for the liberation of Uganda. Major Baramira Ruranga was one of the people who contracted HIV/AIDS, but he decided to keep the information to himself before later coming out publicly. In a close conversation with Major Ruranga, he tells us his story of how he returned from the NRM bush while jubilating following their victory, not knowing that he was already infected.
When I came from the bush, I met one girl who was my friend, making a joke and said, "But do you think you are free? You don't have HIV?" I said, "What is HIV anyway?" Then jokingly she said, "It is a disease that kills people and it is a sexual disease." And then in a joking way she said, "Have you had any sexual partners?" I said, "Very many, she said, "Then you need to go and check." So I went and checked.
After 30 days, he decided to go for a checkup. And when he took the test, Major Ruranga's HIV results showed that he was already positive. That was a very difficult moment for him.
The first time I got the results, I attempted to kill myself. And I was saved by my son. I was holding a gun, a pistol on my head. Actually, I was about to fire. And then she came, from the room and said, "Daddy, what are you doing?" No, I put it down. I looked at him and laughed. I said, "I was listening to the gun."
The hardest moments for him was when he was stigmatized by his colleagues.
Everybody except my relatives or other people discriminated me, including people in the army. It was very, very complicated at that time. And worst of all is that I went open.
He met several doctors who told him he would not live for more than 3 years. This not only hurt him, but it scared him a lot, which prompted him to look for medication.
ARVs were not there. I took all even the Nanyonga soil. I don't know whether you heard about Nanyonga soil. I took everything. I was ironed with the hot iron. I took all the rubbish that you can think about called drugs. So yes, I did take herbal drugs.
Later, he joined the AIDS support organization where he started medication and learned more about HIV. By this time, he thought his wife was already infected, but that wasn't the case.
He became very, very sick. But apparently her sickness was sort of psychological. Because later on, as I proceeded, because I proceeded and trained about HIV counseling. And eventually I was able to persuade her to go and take an HIV test, only to find she was negative.
Now it is 37 years since he contracted the virus, but he has managed to sail through and survive. Major Ruranga is also one of the biggest HIV/AIDS activists in the country.
But somehow I didn't kill myself, and I have been able to look after my children. All of them have gone to school. They are big people. I remarried actually. I remarried and I have had 6 children, and none of them is infected. I had 2 with a woman who had the virus, and they were not infected because we knew how to do it at that time. We were already on ARVs. Eventually married someone who does not have HIV. We have had 4, and of course, it's the mother who infects the children, but she's not infected, therefore the children are not infected. So I've not had any child. that is infected.
He is, however, not happy with the present-day situation where young people are contracting HIV at a very high rate, which shouldn't be the case. He now wants government to continue with strong advocacy.
I'm slightly annoyed. I'm very, very angry that you hear reports that people are still getting HIV after so many years. Government has done all it could, but I think those who are supposed to work and provide information and knowledge are the ones that are responsible.
He also blames parents for failing to take full responsibility of their children's lives.
If we had taken on to educating the family and giving the responsibility of looking after children and guarding and guiding them against the spread of HIV, the HIV would not be here anymore.
As we commemorate World AIDS Day, Ugandans have been urged to protect themselves, carry out HIV tests, use condoms on a regular, and those who are already infected to start medication. One more thing that needs to be also pointed out is that everyone also has been advised to stop stigmatization.